Imagine dying and waking up inside a cultivation world. Sounds like a dream, right? Power, immortality, endless potential. But what if you're not the hero? What if your family already triggered every revenge flag? Your sister humiliated the future protagonist. Your mother stole a Dao bone. And you are the villain everyone is destined to destroy. Welcome to a world where fate is already written. And survival means rewriting the story itself. This is Turns Out I'm in a Villain Clan. And this is Jiesan Audiobook. F***K I'm dead. The expletive ripped from my throat as a tidal wave of memories crushed my sanity. 1 hour ago I was just cultivating as usual in my room when suddenly, like enlightenment, I began to gain knowledge beyond what I previously knew. Soon enough I realized it wasn't enlightenment in martial arts as I thought. Instead, I was regaining memories from what was perhaps my previous life. Earth. My old life, 9-to-5 drudgery, late-night gaming marathons and a graveyard of cultivation webnovels. And now, I stumbled from the silk-draped bed, heart-pounding. The jade floors were cool against my bare feet, the air thick with the scent of incense. Gilded screens, spirit lamps and treasures littered the room, luxury fit for a young master. My room. My name, by Zihan. Arrogant, cruel, wasteful, a third-rate villain. You could say that I was a person who liked to bully the weak, spending every day picking on other clan members. There was no other reason for what I did than because I could. With my parents being the clan master and matriarch of one of the strongest clans in the empire, there weren't many who could go against me. It was also one of the ways I relieved my stress and anger, knowing that I was a waste whose talent wasn't worthy of being called the heir of the Bai clan. However, that is not why I am freaked out right now. After regaining my memories from Earth, my knowledge of different cultivation novels also flowed into me. And the reason why I am freaking out is because, comparing my circumstances with the cultivation novels I read on Earth, I found out that my family is a villain family destined to die. For one week ago my elder sister broke off her engagement with her fiancé whose cultivation had been crippled, a walking cliché destined for greatness. There's no need to elaborate on such a cliché story where he would rise up, topple his ex-fiancée and perhaps even destroy her clan. My sister's ex-fiancé was definitely one of those protagonists, and I might get killed by him. Why now? If only I had regained my memories a week earlier, I could have stopped my sister from antagonizing the inevitable protagonist of this world. Or not. Deep down, I knew the truth. Even if I had regained my memories earlier, I wouldn't have been able to stop her. I was nothing but a waste, a disappointment to the Bai clan eclipsed by my genius sister. My talent was a disgrace and my reputation worse, a bully who terrorized weaker clan members and branch families. Our relationship was strained beyond repair due to such repeated behavior. Worse, breaking the engagement with that crippled fiancé was something both the Bai clan and the Heaven Sword sect, my sister's sect, wanted. No one would have listened to me, they'd see me as a fool stirring up more trouble for the clan. Sigh. And that was just one death flag raised by my sister. Because if that wasn't enough to kill me, my mother made sure to raise the stakes. She ripped a Dao bone from my cousin and gave it to me, an attempt to salvage my talent. It helped a little, but not nearly enough. Now my cousin would hunt me down in the future, seeking vengeance for what was stolen. There was a high chance that she would grow stronger and sooner or later come to claim her Dao bone. So even if I survived my sister's ex-fiancé's inevitable revenge, my cousin would finish the job. And these 2 death flags were only the start. There were even more things done by my family and clan, definitely things only villains would do. There was also me, making trouble and creating enemies everywhere I went. My sister and mother might be major villains who survive for 100 chapters. But me. Looking at my behavior, I'm just a third-rate villain, fodder who would die in 3 chapters just after meeting the protagonist. Sigh. My fists clenched, nails digging into my palms. Surveying my family's actions and my reflection, I knew one thing. I'm so screwed. No matter how I looked at it, death flags sprouted around me like weeds. From my family's sins to my own foolishness, it was a perfect storm. And if even one of those flags played out like a standard cultivation novel, I was already dead. What should I do? What should I do? I paced back and forth, trying to think of a way to salvage my situation. Looking at the dire situation, severing ties with the Bai clan was the only thing that might guarantee my safety from the hands of those protagonists. There was no way to salvage the relationship with those protagonist-like people after what had happened. My sister had already disgraced the Lin clan, her ex-fiancé's clan, and broke off the engagement in front of other clans. There's nothing to say about my cousin, whose Dao bone my mother stole and gave to me. Not only did my mother commit this horrible crime, but my cousin was also expelled from the clan with her parents' whereabouts unknown. I'm 100% certain that the moment I meet her, she will take my head before any conversation can take place. Additionally, I don't think I treated her well even when she was in the clan. She must definitely be holding a grudge for that as well. However, leaving the clan might be even more dangerous. Like I said, I wasn't the kindest person, and knowing I had my family's protection, you could say that I had antagonized a lot of people. One might even say that those people would be more eager to kill me than the protagonists. The moment they knew I had left the Bai clan, there was a high chance that I would be killed right after stepping out of the Bai clan territory. Even if that wasn't the case, this world wasn't safe like Earth, and one careless mistake could lead to death, especially with my current strength. There was a high chance I would die faster outside without the Bai clan's support than by the hands of these protagonists. There was also a chance I would meet one of those heaven-blessed protagonists even after severing ties with Bai clan and still get killed. Without Bai clan protection, getting killed would be much easier. No, I still have this. There was perhaps one thing that could truly save me from my death. Indeed, this is a system screen. Before my eyes was something that refused to leave. It was my golden finger. It had been with me since I was born, though I never knew what it was and couldn't even make it go away before. Host info. Host by Jiesan. Age 16. Cultivation realm, core formation early. Constitution, none. Martial arts, none. Scratching my head, I felt more annoyed than excited, remembering my past suffering because of this. Why the hell is this in English? The reason why I had no idea what it was until now, or how to make it go away, was because this system was in English the whole time. A language I wasn't familiar with until I got my memories from Earth. Why the hell would a system I've had since birth be in a language that wasn't common in this world? If I hadn't regained my memories, I would have never figured out what this was and would have stayed blinded by the system's inferences for 16 years. Otherwise, with such a cheat, how the hell would I have been treated as a waste? But without knowing about the system or English for the past 16 years, this system has been nothing but a nuisance, blocking my sight and ruining my life. Isn't one of the reasons why I was a waste because of this damn system blocking my sight? Of course, my cultivation talent was lacking, there was no denying that. However, my failures extended far beyond my poor aptitude for cultivating qi. My combat skills, reflexes, and ability to learn martial techniques were all severely hindered by this damned thing that had been glued to my vision since birth. At first, everyone assumed I was simply lazy or untalented, but that wasn't the whole truth. When I was a child, my parents even took me to the best doctors, fearing that I had a vision problem when I told them about this system interface. Yet the results were always the same, my eyes were perfectly healthy. Some even mocked me for this and said that I was making things up, and since only I could see this, I couldn't prove them wrong. But how could they understand that it wasn't my eyes that were the problem? It was this damned system screen constantly obstructing my view. Imagine trying to fight with a thick, translucent panel blocking your field of vision, one that you couldn't swipe away or close. A permanent blind spot, forever lingering in front of me. The system's notifications would pop up randomly, covering vital parts of my view during battles, and no matter how I moved, the screen followed, always hovering in my line of sight. Even when I tried to learn martial arts, the problem persisted. The forms looked blurry, the teacher's movements partially obscured. It was like trying to read a book with a page torn down the middle. Everything important was always out of reach. So yes, I was a waste, but it wasn't just because of my lacking talent. It was because I was fighting with both my hands and my eyes tied behind my back. System close. The words slipped from my mouth almost instinctively, an unconscious reaction born from years of reading system-based cultivation novels back on Earth. The moment I spoke, the blinding, ever-present interface vanished. That's all it took. 16 years. 16 years of stumbling through life like a blind man. 16 years of being labeled a waste, mocked, and discarded. 16 years of failure, all because I didn't know 2 English words. After laughing at my situation, I chuckled at myself for a few seconds before finally settling down. Sigh. If not for regaining my memories, this suffering might have extended to life, though that might have also been short-lived considering the situation I am in. However, currently I wasn't in the situation to condemn the system which has ruined my 16 years. This system, which has been the source of suffering for the last 16 years, is also my only hope of getting out of this damn situation. System. I called out, and immediately the system interface was back in full display. Forgetting about the resentment, I immediately went to explore what this system is all about and how it could help me out of this situation. Let's see what this system is all about. Bai Zihan's eyes narrowed as he scanned the system interface. Firstly, it was the same system interface that he had seen for the last 16 years with details on his status. Host info. Host Bai Zihan. Age 16. Cultivation realm, core formation early. Constitution, none. Martial arts, none. His focus then zeroed in on a tab store, and alongside it another labeled rewards. Without hesitation, he clicked on the store tab, and system interface instantly changed to show dazzling treasures before him. Bai Zihan's eyes flickered with awe as he skimmed through the store, his lips moving unconsciously as he read the names aloud. Immortal Dragon Saber, Heaven Tier Treasure sharp enough to cleave space itself. Heavenly Rebirth Pill, 7th Tier Pill rumored to defy death and restore one's prime. Ninefold Star Scripture, Void Dao Bone, Thunder Dragon King Bloodline, even a constitution could be brought. Bai Zihan looked through the countless treasures that he never even heard about but sounded super powerful. From the pills he took daily to powerful bloodlines he had never heard of, there were all sorts of things he could potentially buy. With such powerful treasures that he can buy, he felt relieved and more confident about tackling the future threat. However, there was just a small problem, and that was that to buy those treasures he needed points. Zihan clenched his fists, his voice tight with longing. So many treasures, but without points they're nothing but dreams. A spark lit in his eyes as he spoke firmly, his voice cutting through the silence. System, what are points, how do I earn them? Bai Zihan tried asking to see whether system would respond, but as expected there was no response. Let's try this in English. System, what are points, how do I earn them? Bai Zihan asked again, this time in English. The system responded with words on the system screen. Heaven-defying system. Earn points by defying the very fabric of fate and surpassing your limits. Ways to earn points. Defying fate, twist common cliches and rewrite destiny. Achievements. Points for reaching cultivation milestones and rare accomplishments. Challenging the strong, the greater the disparity, the higher the reward. Stealing fortunes. Seize opportunities meant for heaven's chosen. Zihan's lips curled into a daring smirk. So to claim these treasures I must gamble against fate itself, and win. Indeed, looking at my background, I was a third-rated villain that could die just by opening my mouth. To defy such, having heaven-defying system is indeed appropriate. Next, his eyes moved to the rewards section as he quickly changed the tab to rewards. Hope that there is something here like newbie gift or something which could help me. Instantly, the screen flashed, revealing numerous unclaimed rewards, glorious fruits of his cultivation milestones. Unclaimed rewards available. Chi Refining Stage Achievement, 10x Cultivation Speed Card 3 Days Foundation Establishment Stage Achievement, Martial Arts Enlightenment Card 1 Hour Core Formation Stage Achievement, Primordial Chaos Body Refinement Technique First Part Defeated by Lei 1000 points. Bai Zihan's heart pounded as he scanned the unclaimed rewards list. His lips parted with excitement, his eyes blazing with anticipation. His voice trembled with excitement. 10x Cultivation Speed Card, that means I can cultivate 10 times faster for 3 days. With this, perhaps I could finally go from early core formation to mid-core formation stage. His eyes sparkled as he continued. And this Martial Arts Enlightenment card, it should be something to do with mastery of martial arts. Perhaps I could gain minor mastery after using this. He wasn't exactly sure how effective it would be, but knew that it would have great effect, considering this is a reward from the system. Then there were many more unclaimed rewards for defeating different people, and most of them gave him just points. How did I even defeat them? I don't think that I have even gotten into any official fight with any people. After all, Bai Zihan was a coward and wouldn't fight where he could be injured. Can this be that when I bullied them using my status, that is also considered as defeating by the system? After looking at similarities in the list of people that were defeated and given him points, he came to a conclusion that there were all those he would normally bully with his status. Although they were certainly stronger than him in terms of power, they wouldn't dare go against him as he was direct heir and also the son of clan leader. Looks like I did benefit something from such an act. Bai Zihan now found that although his third-rated villain act was sure to bring his doom, it has also unexpectedly brought in some rewards. With how much he bullied those people, the points given by the system should be quite substantial. Apart from this, there was the reward for breaking through to the core formation stage, and that was some kind of technique. Primordial Chaos Body Refinement Technique. His brows furrowed. I've never heard of a body refinement technique like this. Primordial Chaos, isn't that the origin of everything? Although he has never heard of such a technique, just looking at the name, one could tell that it wasn't ordinary and quite powerful. And most importantly, anything to do with primordial or the beginning of time should be very powerful, as those were the things that existed before the universe. Of course, there was the chance that the technique was just given some fancy name and wasn't that powerful. System: what is the Primordial Chaos Body Refinement Technique? Novel: Bin read light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel online for free. You can find hundreds of English translated light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel which are daily updated. Read novels online, read light novel online, read online free, free light novel online. The system responded immediately, lines of text forming on the interface. Primordial Chaos Body Refinement Technique First Part. Forge the body into a vessel of chaos, the source of creation and destruction. Upon reaching the first stage, Chaos Seed Baptism, the user's body can freely break down and reconstruct itself, allowing it to absorb all forms of energy. Note: the pain of each refinement may shatter the mind. Failure means body collapse and certain death. Grade: unspecified, incomplete. Bai Zihan's eyes widened as he read the description. His heart pounded faster, and excitement flickered in his eyes. Freely break down and reconstruct the body, absorb all forms of energy. He muttered, his voice a mix of awe and exhilaration. Even the first part was beyond his imagination, not to mention the perks of being able to absorb all forms of energy. Can I also absorb other people's attacks? After all, those attacks also contained chi, so it wasn't unreasonable to do so. Anyway, that needs to be tested after attaining the first stage of Primordial Chaos Body Refinement Technique, which doesn't seem easy. But certain death if I fail. Although failure could lead to death, yet his excitement refused to die down. A cultivation technique that could defy all limitations, one that could turn his very body into a conduit for power, but the cost. Failure means body collapse and death. It was a terrifying result for failure. However, thinking about his current situation, it didn't seem like he could escape death unless he became stronger. Bai Zihan's expression hardened. If I'm to survive in this world, I can't afford to be weak. The primordial chaos body refinement technique, it's risky, but the benefit. Mastering this technique could potentially change his fate. Although the grade was unspecified due to the technique being just the first part, the description alone was enough to suggest that it was at least comparable to a saint grade technique. Techniques were categorized as yellow, profound, earth, heaven, saint, and beyond. Even heaven grade techniques were extremely difficult to obtain. Despite being the strongest clan in the desolate Heaven Empire, the Bai clan possessed only 3 such techniques. None of them were for body refinement though. As for saint-grade techniques, they were practically non-existent in the desolate Heaven Empire, or at least, Bai Zihan wasn't aware of any powerhouse possessing them. Maybe those protagonist-like bastards were cultivating them, but he wouldn't know. In any case, this was certainly superior to the Earth-grade body refinement technique Bai Zihan had been cultivating in the Bai clan. The Bai clan's refinement technique had made Bai Zihan's body incomparably stronger than normal people, allowing him to withstand sword cuts. However, it wasn't as powerful as the primordial chaos body refinement technique. Additionally, the primordial chaos body refinement technique allowed the body to absorb all forms of energy, which would greatly enhance his cultivation. Of course, he wasn't stupid enough to start practicing the technique blindly. He needed to research more to increase his chances of success and determine whether this was truly the best path for him. After all, his primary objective was survival. He wasn't just going to jump from the pot into the fire. Perhaps he wouldn't need to take this risk at all. Anyway, he could finally see some hope in his hopeless situation. System, claim all the rewards. Bai Zihan commanded. Claiming rewards? Kai refining achievement, 10x cultivation speed card, 3 days foundation establishment achievement, martial arts enlightenment card, 1 hour core formation achievement, primordial chaos body refinement technique first part, defeated Bai Lei, plus 1000 points. Total points earned, 27,270. A golden glow enveloped Zihan, knowledge and power flooding into his soul. His lips curled into a determined smirk. Now let's see how fate fares against me. For the rest of the day, Bai Zihan organized his thoughts and decided on what to do going forward. With the acquired points, there was a lot he could buy, but he wasn't going to make any hasty purchases. As for weapons and protective gear, being a direct heir of the Bai clan meant that his current arsenal of artifacts was more than sufficient. Most of his artifacts, including weapons and armor, were already Earth-grade and could be considered overgeared. Of course, the system had far superior artifacts, but he wasn't foolish enough to waste precious points on them at this stage. Moreover, wielding higher-grade artifacts required a much larger pool of chi. With his cultivation, he could properly only use Earth-grade artifacts. Perhaps he could wield a Heaven-grade artifact once or twice, but that was it. So, there wasn't much reason to purchase higher-grade weapons at his current cultivation level. He could reconsider once he broke through to the nascent soul realm. He didn't buy any martial art either for the same reason. His clan's martial arts techniques were already Earth-grade, and rather than purchasing higher-grade techniques, it was better to master what he had already been taught. Although he wasn't particularly interested in fighting techniques, there was one category he was deeply concerned about. Cultivation techniques. Among all types of techniques, martial arts, body refinement, and movement arts, one reigned supreme in importance. Cultivation techniques, the foundation of power. Unlike martial techniques which dictated how one fought or body refinement techniques which tempered the flesh, cultivation techniques determined how one absorbed, refined, and utilized chi. A good cultivation technique could mean the difference between a powerful expert and a forgotten nobody. It affected chi quality, recovery speed, breakthrough probability, and even longevity. His current cultivation technique, the Bai clan's Earth-grade Azure Dragon breathing method, was respectable. It provided him with a strong foundation, but it was far from enough. Even with an Earth-grade technique, Zihan's cultivation speed was only average, but what truly worried him was something else. Potential bottlenecks. Many cultivators hit an invisible wall at higher realms, nascent soul formation, or ascension, because their foundation was flawed. A low-grade cultivation technique often caused impurities in their qi, making breakthroughs increasingly difficult and dangerous. If I rely solely on my Bai clan technique, my path to nascent soul or beyond will be a dead end. Bai Zihan muttered. Of course, that wouldn't be a big problem if he was truly talented, but he wasn't. With his current talent, the highest he could realistically achieve was the nascent soul realm. While that was considered impressive, it wasn't nearly enough to survive in this villainous clan. Perhaps purchasing a powerful bloodline or constitution could help, but it was beyond his budget. Bai Zihan would need at least 10 times more points to afford a bloodline strong enough to make a real difference. So the more realistic option was to buy a high-level heaven-grade cultivation technique. He opened the system store, his gaze flickering to the cultivation technique section. Bai Zihan scrolled through the vast arsenal of cultivation techniques, his eyes sweeping over countless methods. Some drew from the stars, others from the sun, and a few even from the abyss itself. But in the end, his gaze settled on one. Myriad breathing technique, heaven grade. Description: a cultivation technique that refines the essence of the world, allowing the user to absorb and utilize qi. Absorption efficiency, 200% increased qi absorption. Bai Zihan's fists clenched in excitement. Compared to his current technique, Azure Dragon breathing method, this new method was on a completely different level. It offered at least twice the qi absorption efficiency. That meant his cultivation speed could potentially double, provided there was sufficient qi to absorb. But with all the resources available to him from the Bai clan, that wouldn't be a problem. Bai Zihan had stockpiled a large number of pills, gifted to him by both the clan and his mother. He had been lazy before, but now he understood. If he continued down that path, he would die. Novel bin read light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel online for free. You can find hundreds of English translated light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel which are daily updated. Read novels online, read light novel online, read online free, free light novel online. After much contemplation, he purchased the Myriad breathing technique, which cost an astonishing 15,000 points. Of course, considering this was better than the Azure Dragon breathing method, which was already considered one of the best in the desolate Heaven Empire, it was justifiable. As soon as Bai Zihan confirmed his purchase, the system interface flickered. Purchase successful. Would you like to learn the Myriad breathing technique now? A prompt appeared before his eyes, the glowing text hovering in his vision. Yes. Learning Myriad breathing technique. In an instant, a golden glow enveloped Bai Zihan's body. A flood of information poured into his mind like a tidal wave, each strand of knowledge integrating seamlessly with his consciousness. He felt his very understanding of cultivation shifting, expanding beyond what he had known before. The Myriad breathing technique wasn't just a superior technique, it was an entirely different way of cultivation. Unlike the Azure Dragon breathing method, which focused on channeling qi in a structured, disciplined manner, the Myriad breathing technique was like breathing in the essence of the world itself. It didn't just absorb qi, it refined and transformed it into something purer, more potent. So that's how. Bai Zihan immediately understood how to cultivate using Myriad breathing technique, and there was no need to waste time learning it thanks to the system. Immediately, he began to test this new cultivation technique, and indeed, the speed at which his body absorbed qi was faster than before. Although he couldn't say it was 2 times, as the qi in his room wasn't that high and was immediately absorbed by him. This is incredible. Moreover, even without actively cultivating, he could feel the qi naturally gathering around him, seeping into his body at a slow pace. With this, his path to breaking through to higher realms had become much smoother. Although that still didn't change his situation and he was still too weak to compete with those protagonist bastards, this was a good starting point. Bai Zihan exhaled slowly, a faint mist of qi escaping his lips. He had taken his first step toward changing his destiny. Now, his next objective was to utilize the 10x cultivation speed card he had received as a reward and try to break through to the next level. With his new cultivation technique and the 10x cultivation speed card, he was confident that he could advance at least one realm. Without hesitation, he pulled out the 10x cultivation speed card and used it. 10x cultivation speed active, 72 hours remaining. The world around him seemed to hum with energy as the surrounding chi thickened tenfold. It felt like he had stepped into a spiritual spring. Additionally, let's take these pills, Bai Zihan said as he took out the golden core condensation pill from his storage ring. With so many resources together, he refused to believe that he couldn't break through. Without hesitation, Bai Zihan entered a cultivation trance, cycling his qi through the myriad breathing technique. The surrounding energy surged around him, flooding into his body like a raging river. His dantian swelled with power as he guided the refined qi through his meridians. The golden glow of the myriad breathing technique mixed with the dense qi from the 10x cultivation speed card and the golden core condensation pill. His entire body resonated with power, and he felt a breakthrough brewing within him. Hours passed like fleeting moments, and suddenly, boom! A shockwave of qi rippled outward from Bai Zihan's body. His cultivation base surged as he reached the core formation mid-level from the early core formation stage. He exhaled sharply, his eyes snapping open, his gaze bright with newfound power. I've already broken through in just 10 hours. Bai Zihan was momentarily stunned. He hadn't expected the combination of the myriad breathing technique, the 10x cultivation speed card, and the golden core condensation pill to be so effective. He clenched his fists, feeling the newfound strength coursing through him. Although one of the reasons for such a fast breakthrough must be that he was already near a breakthrough, he had never advanced so easily before. So this is what geniuses must feel like. He had never heard about his sister struggling to break through. For her, success in breaking through was always guaranteed, unlike him who failed countless times. This is only the beginning. Without wasting a second, Bai Zihan re-entered his cultivation trance, pushing to make the most of the remaining hours. The qi around him thickened further as he focused on refining the gathered qi, consolidating his newfound cultivation base and attempting to make further progress. Time blurred as Bai Zihan cycled his qi, tempering his meridians and purifying his dantian. The myriad breathing technique worked tirelessly, elevating the potency of the qi within him. Another 24 hours passed, and Bai Zihan's aura surged once more. Though he hadn't broken into the next major realm, he had pushed himself to the very peak of core formation mid-level, only a step away from top level. Sweat glistened on his forehead, but his expression was one of satisfaction and determination. The remaining time will be spent consolidating my strength. I can't afford to damage my foundation. Perhaps if he truly pushed himself, he could have broken through another minor realm, but that wasn't good for his foundation and could impact his future cultivation. So rather than pushing forward, he decided to step back and consolidate his current cultivation. He continued cultivating for the remaining hours, ensuring that his foundation was solid and that there were no flaws. As the final minutes of the 10x cultivation speed card ticked away, Bai Zihan opened his eyes, a confident gleam shining within them. Phew! This time, cultivation almost felt like a breeze compared to before. Whether it was because of the myriad breathing technique or the 10x cultivation speed card, he felt that those 3 days had passed by very quickly but meaningfully. In the past, even if he had worked for a month, he might not have achieved what he did in these 3 days. Also, previously he could cultivate for a full day without any gain due to his poor talent. But now he feels his hard work is very rewarding, and he actually wants to continue to do so as well. He rose to his feet, the air around him crackling with suppressed power. Shall I take a bath? Novel Bin read light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel online for free. You can find hundreds of English translated light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel which are daily updated. Read novels online, read light novel online, read online free, free light novel online. Shall I take a bath? He muttered to himself, glancing down at his body. After 3 days of intense cultivation, impurities had naturally been expelled from his body, forming a thin layer of filth on his skin. Though it wasn't as dramatic as when entering the qi refining stage, the difference was clear. His pores were unclogged, his skin had an almost ethereal glow, and his meridians felt utterly refreshed. This was due to the myriad breathing technique, which allowed only the purest qi while immediately expelling any impurities. Bai Zihan dusted off his robes, feeling the lingering energy from his cultivation. The faint impurities clinging to his skin made him uncomfortable, and he had no intention of remaining in this state for long. He took a deep breath, his gaze shifting toward the entrance of his room. With a calm yet commanding voice, he called out, "Luo Qing, come in." A moment of silence passed before hurried footsteps approached. The door creaked open and a petite young maid stepped inside, her head lowered and hands slightly trembling. Luo Qing was Bai Zihan's personal servant, assigned to him since childhood. In the past, she had been subjected to his unpredictable moods and cruel temperament. He had never raised a hand against her, but his sharp tongue and cold indifference had been enough to instill deep-seated fear in her. Additionally, Bai Zihan hadn't even spared his own cousin when he was displeased, so how could she, a mere maid, not fear him? Her voice was hesitant. "Why, young master, you called for me?" Bai Zihan glanced at her trembling form and let out a sigh. It seemed his past actions had left quite an impression on those around him. Well, he didn't care much about it, especially knowing that his life was hanging by a thread. "Prepare a bath for me," Bai Zihan ordered. Luo Qing's body flinched slightly at the command, but she immediately bowed. "Yes, young master, right away." She hurriedly turned and left, moving with such urgency that it almost seemed as though she feared lingering in his presence for even a second longer. Bai Zihan shook his head slightly but didn't dwell on it. He sat down, allowing himself a brief moment of rest before the bath was ready. As Luo Qing rushed to prepare the bath, she couldn't help but notice something felt off. Her young master had always spoken with authority, but this time his voice lacked the usual coldness or irritation. It was firm, commanding, but not cruel. She shook her head as she worked. "Perhaps I was just imagining things." Anyway, she didn't want to waste time on such meaningless thoughts. If she made the young master wait too long, he could become irritable. Once the bath was ready, she returned to inform him, keeping her head bowed as always. "Young master, your bath is ready." Bai Zihan walked past her without a word, heading toward the bath chamber. Before leaving, he looked at her face carefully. This was because it was the first time Bai Zihan had truly seen this maid's face who had served him for many years. Previously, her appearance had been blocked by the system interface. "She is quite pretty." Luo Qing was a delicate young woman, barely in her late teens, with a slender yet graceful frame. Her long, jet-black hair was neatly tied into a simple braid, falling over her shoulder in a way that accentuated her smooth, porcelain-like skin. Her features were soft and refined, gentle, almond-shaped eyes of deep, misty brown framed by naturally long lashes, a small, slightly upturned nose and full lips with a faint rosy hue. Despite her modest status as a servant, she carried an understated elegance that was hard to ignore. Even the plain, light blue maid's robes she wore did little to hide the natural grace in her movements. However, the slight tremble in her stance, the way she kept her gaze lowered, and the subtle way she bit the inside of her lip revealed the fear she still harbored toward him. If this were Earth, she would definitely qualify to become a top idol. Bai Zihan thought. He wasn't sure about the beauty standards of this world and didn't know whether his maid was special or if such appearances were common. Looking at Luo Qing, his maid, he thought that perhaps due to cultivation, this world was simply filled with beautiful people. Whichever the case, he needed more time to understand. After all, in his memory, everyone's face had always been blurred by the system interface. Luo Qing stood motionless for a moment, her hands unconsciously tightening around the fabric of her sleeves. She had served him for years, yet today was the first time she felt something was different, especially when he looked at her before heading to his bath. She couldn't quite put it into words, but there was something about Bai Zihan that had changed. His presence, the way he carried himself, even the way his eyes briefly passed over her, there was no disdain, no irritation, and more importantly, he looked directly into her eyes. This is the first time the young master has looked into my eyes. Normally, he would look irritated whenever she served him, his gaze lowered toward her legs or body. She knew it wasn't because he was lecherous or after her body. With his status, what women would he not get? Rather, he seemed to have a problem distinguishing people through their face and tried to identify them through their other body parts. She had also heard from another servant that Bai Zihan was rumored to have some kind of vision problem, although it was just a rumor and had never been confirmed. But having served him for years, she knew it was at least somewhat true. Although she wasn't sure what the problem was, she knew that he had difficulty identifying people's faces and often mistook others, even when they looked nothing alike. Perhaps that was why Bai Zihan had made a habit of identifying people through other features, and his gaze was usually lowered. This is also why Luo Qing had specifically worn the same kind of dress forever to make identifying her easy for Bai Zihan. But that didn't seem to be the case today. The young master was looking directly at her face, and for a moment he almost seemed fascinated. However, she quickly shook her head, dismissing the thought as mere imagination. There's no way someone like me, a mere servant, could possibly catch the young master's interest. Novel bin read light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel online for free. You can find hundreds of English translated light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel which are daily updated. Read novels online, read light novel online, read online free, free light novel online. Bai Zihan undressed and stepped in, allowing the warm, soothing water to wash away the impurities. Ugh! He let out a satisfied sigh as he leaned back, submerging himself deeper into the pool. The tension in his muscles melted away, and he could feel his body absorbing the residual spiritual energy within the water, further refining his meridians. For the first time in a long while, Bai Zihan allowed himself to relax. After about 30 minutes, he was done with his bath and ready to leave. Bai Zihan stood up, water dripping down his body, and grabbed a nearby towel. He dried himself off with practiced efficiency before slipping into the fresh robes that Luo Qing had left for him. The fabric was smooth and comfortable, a deep shade of black embroidered with faint silver linings. Once dressed, he walked toward the bronze mirror mounted on the side of the bath chamber. It would be the first time he saw his own reflection. He stepped in front of it and froze. A face stared back, flawless skin, sharp eyes, and an expression dripping with arrogance. A face designed for one purpose, to be obliterated by the protagonist before the story even got going. Handsome, sure, but with a sharp, villainous edge that screamed young master cannon fodder. He had the look, the type of sharp, wicked handsomeness that screamed disposable stepping stone. His black hair was slightly damp, clinging to his forehead in strands, making his appearance even more striking with his red eyes. His eyes narrowed as he leaned closer. Seriously, the world gave me this face. It was as if the world had taken extra care in sculpting the perfect young master you must defeat appearance. Bai Zihan let out a low, bitter chuckle. Of course he would look like this. It all made sense. He didn't just have the name of a doomed antagonist, he even had the face to match. His fingers brushed against his jawline as he studied himself further. He sighed, stepping back from the mirror. Well, at least I'm good looking. Still, knowing how he appeared to others helped put a lot of things into perspective. And if this world was truly following the script of a cultivation novel, then he needed to change his role fast. Immediately after, he went out and called for Luo Qing. Luo Qing, are you there? He wanted to ask Luo Qing to prepare lunch for him since it had been many days since he last ate. Normally, he didn't care much about filling his belly, as a cultivator could go weeks without eating, and with pills there was no need to eat at all. But how could he so easily forget his earthly habits? One of the few things in life he had truly enjoyed in his past life was food. Rather than eating just to live, he also lived to eat. He wasn't particularly rich in his past life and had only eaten normal meals, but here it was a different story. He could have anything he wanted, especially when it came to food. Luo Qing. Bai Zihan called again. It was strange that she didn't immediately appear. As far as he could remember, Luo Qing rarely made such mistakes. Just as he was wondering what had happened, Luo Qing finally appeared. But what surprised him wasn't her appearance, it was who she had brought along. Bai Zihan, so you were here. A commanding and arrogant tone. There was only one person in the entire desolate Heaven Empire who could speak to Bai Zihan like that, his only sister, Bai Zuking. The first true genius of the Bai clan, the pride of the younger generation, and one of the most dazzling figures in the entire desolate Heaven Empire. This is also the first time Bai Zihan has properly seen her face. Long, flowing silver hair cascaded down her back like threads of moonlight, contrasting sharply against her dark, elegant robes embroidered with frost-like patterns. Her icy blue eyes were as piercing as a frozen lake in winter, calm yet unforgiving, holding a sharpness that seemed to see through everything. Her physique was slender yet powerful, a testament to her rigorous training. Unlike the delicate beauty of Luo Qing, Bai Zuking carried herself with the refined grace of a martial goddess, unshakable, confident, and completely untouchable. She was someone who stood at the peak, admired by countless people in the empire. And right now, she was staring directly at Bai Zihan with a mixture of impatience and mild annoyance. It was only natural. Because in the eyes of the Bai clan, Bai Zuking was a dragon destined for greatness. And Bai Zihan, he had always been the disgraceful younger brother, the one who could only hide in the shadows of her brilliance. Bai Zuking's brows furrowed slightly as she folded her arms. She had expected to find him sulking, flinching, or trying to weasel his way out of whatever lecture she was about to give. But instead he just stood there calm and composed. Her eyes narrowed. Bai Zihan, what are you doing? She asked, her voice carrying its usual authority. Bai Zihan blinked. What kind of dumb question is that? He crossed his arms and replied casually, I was taking a bath, what does it look like? Silence. Luo Qing's eyes widened in shock. Even Bai Zuking's expression stiffened for a brief moment, as if she hadn't expected such a direct response. Normally, Bai Zihan wouldn't even dare to meet her gaze, let alone speak to her so nonchalantly. She had been so used to seeing him act meek and fearful in her presence that this new attitude. It was almost unnerving. Luo Qing, who had been standing quietly behind Bai Zuking, looked between the two siblings with a stunned expression. This isn't normal, young Master Bai Zihan never talks back to Lady Zuking like that. Even in the past, Bai Zihan had always been arrogant toward those beneath him, but when it came to his sister, he was completely different. He had never once shown defiance toward her. Yet now he had spoken with confidence, without a trace of hesitation or fear. Bai Zuking's sharp gaze studied him carefully. There was something different about him. For as long as she had known Bai Zihan, his eyes had always been filled with either frustration, self-loathing, or false bravado. But now there was something else. Something new. He looked straight at her. No avoidance, no cowering. Bai Zuking observed Bai Zihan for a while before opening her mouth again. Although it was indeed surprising that he dared to speak to her in that way, she thought it was all a ploy to distract her. Bai Zihan, do you know what you did? Bai Zuking asked. What I did? Bai Zihan repeated, frowning as he tried to figure out why Bai Zuking was asking that, and why she looked a bit angry. Did I do something? After all, if he had to think about all the things he had done that could have made her angry, the list was endless. Whether it was beating up some unfortunate soul or going against some elders, disturbing others during cultivation, and so on, the list went on and on. The only saving grace was that Bai Zihan hadn't killed anyone. Otherwise, rather than being a cultivator, he would have easily become a demonic cultivator. Anyway, Bai Zihan's questioning made Bai Zuking irritated, and she couldn't help but yell. Bai Zihan, you've got quite the courage. Why did you tease the senior sisters from my sect and even dare to fight against my seniors? Do you think you can get away with that? Bai Zuking said angrily. Oh, it's about that. Bai Zihan immediately realized what Bai Zuking was referring to. After breaking her engagement, she returned to the Bai clan, accompanied by both the elders and disciples of the Bai clan and the Heaven Sword sect. The elders of the Heaven Sword sect had already left, but the disciples had stayed, intending to return to the sect with Bai Zuking. Since they were disciples of the Heaven Sword sect and had helped Bai Zuking, they were treated quite well. No one dared to mistreat them. Well, almost no one. Who told them to cross paths with Bai Zihan? Bai Zihan was well aware that some disciples of the Heaven Sword sect were staying at the Bai clan. He truly despises those from the Heaven Sword sect. Because he was not very talented and the Heaven Sword sect only recruited geniuses, he had always felt a sense of discrimination. He hated them for that. Hearing the Bai clan's servants praise them, saying how gentlemanly they were, only irritated him further. So he did what he always did. Show them who the real boss was. Bai Zihan smirked, recalling the events from earlier. It all started when he saw the disciples of the Heaven Sword sect strolling through the Bai clan estate, acting all high and mighty. The male disciples strutted around like peacocks, while the female disciples carried an air of aloof superiority. The sight of them annoyed him to no end, especially since the Bai clan servants couldn't stop fawning over them. Master Shen is so elegant, truly a disciple of the Heaven Sword sect. Lady Yun is so graceful, her swordsmanship must be incredible. The disciples of the Heaven Sword sect are truly extraordinary. Bai Zihan gritted his teeth. Extraordinary, my ass. He had no particular grudge against them individually, but he couldn't stand the way people praised them just because they were from a so-called prestigious sect. He wasn't stupid, he knew he was far from being a genius, but that didn't mean these arrogant disciples deserved all the attention. So naturally, he had to do something about it. So when Bai Zihan saw two of the senior sisters of the Heaven Sword sect walking near the gardens chatting amongst themselves, he knew that his chance had come. He recognized them, senior sisters of his sister, Yun and Fei, both well-known beauties of the Heaven Sword sect. With a roguish grin, Bai Zihan stepped in front of them, blocking their path. Ah, two beauties, what a pleasant surprise, are you lost? Bai Zihan said. Of course, he didn't actually care whether they were beauties or not, as he couldn't really see their faces. His sudden appearance startled the two senior sisters. Don't worry, I, Bai Zihan, am more than happy to escort you around. His voice was filled with mock sincerity. The two women frowned, clearly unimpressed. More importantly, knowing exactly who he was, their expressions held a hint of disdain. After all, there was no way they didn't know about Bai Zuking's infamous brother. We don't require your assistance, Yun Qingmei said coldly. Please step aside. But Bai Zihan wasn't going to let them off so easily. Oh, but isn't it dangerous to wander around alone? Who knows what kind of scoundrels you might run into? He chuckled, deliberately making his tone sound ambiguous. Fei Ling narrowed her eyes. Are you implying something, young Master Bai? Of course not, I'm merely concerned for our guests. Bai Zihan smirked. After all, it's quite rare to see such dignified disciples of the Heaven Sword sect gracing us with their presence. If I didn't know better, I'd think the sect sent their beauties to seduce our Bai clan. Yun Qingmei's expression darkened. You watch your mouth. Fei Ling's face also turned cold. We are not here for idle chatter. If you continue to speak nonsense, don't blame us for being rude. Bai Zihan pretended to look hurt. Ah, you wound me, I was just appreciating your presence, yet you treat me so coldly. Truly, the Heaven Sword sect's reputation for being arrogant is well earned. The two women's patience had reached its limit. It was one thing to mock them and another to insult their sect. But against Bai Zihan, in the Bai clan they were truly powerless. They couldn't harm him, otherwise there was no telling how the Bai clan would retaliate. Just when Fei and Yun seemed to have no solution to this problem, a voice interrupted them. What's happening here? Bai Zihan turned to see a group of male disciples from the Heaven Sword sect approaching. At the front was none other than Shen Liang, one of the stronger core disciples. Shen Liang's eyes barely concealed his irritation. Are you harassing my junior sisters? Shen Liang questioned. Harassing. Bai Zihan raised an eyebrow. What a harsh word, I was merely having a friendly conversation. Surely the mighty Heaven Sword sect doesn't forbid their disciples from talking to people. Enough nonsense. Shen Liang's expression darkened. Junior sisters, who is he, and did he harass you? The atmosphere turned tense in an instant. The disciples behind Shen Liang were already gripping their swords, and the Bai clan guards nearby were also looking uneasy. If a fight broke out here, it wouldn't just be a personal grudge, it could escalate into a conflict between the Bai clan and the Heaven Sword sect. Other servants were also watching the conflict from afar. Young Master Bai is making trouble again. This time it's with the esteemed guests of the Heaven Sword sect. Should we inform Lady Bai Zuking? Otherwise this could escalate into a huge problem. Do you not love your life? If young Master Bai Zihan finds out, you can say goodbye to your life. In the face of Bai Zihan's antics, the servants and onlookers were powerless to do anything. They didn't have the courage to call for help or stop the conflict, knowing that doing so would mean going against Bai Zihan, and no one wanted that. Yan Qingmei and Fei Ling exchanged glances. They might have let it slide if it were just a personal insult. But Bai Zihan had crossed the line by insulting their sect. Fei Ling finally spoke, her tone cold. Senior brother Shen, this is Bai Zihan, Bai Zuking's younger brother. He has been openly insulting both us and the Heaven Sword sect. Shen Liang's expression shifted slightly from anger to reluctant understanding. He had heard of Bai Zihan, the infamous troublemaker of the Bai clan, known for his lack of talent yet abundance of arrogance. Realizing who stood before him, he took a deep breath and suppressed his fury. He looked Bai Zihan up and down with a condescending gaze before speaking. So you're Bai Zuking's younger brother. He continued. In consideration of my relationship with junior sister Zuking, I'll let you off this time. However, I suggest you stop harassing female disciples of our Heaven Sword sect. His tone carried an air of superiority, as if he were showing mercy to a mere child. Moreover, there was an implicit threat in his words. Bai Zihan might not be talented in cultivation, but he wasn't stupid, he understood the underlying meaning. Additionally, being threatened in his own territory, how could Bai Zihan let that slide? Oh, so you're one of those disciples, huh? Bai Zihan chuckled, his tone dripping with mockery. What do you mean? Shen Liang frowned, displeased that someone he considered a waste dared to mock him. Chasing after my sister like a licking dog, haha. Bai Zihan burst into laughter after throwing his insult. Shen Liang's expression darkened instantly. Bai Zihan continued, acting as if he had just realized something. Actually, now that I think about it, this is a perfect opportunity for you, isn't it? My dear sister just broke off her engagement. A disciple like you must be thrilled at the chance to take advantage of the situation. Shen Liang's jaw clenched. Mind your words, Bai Zihan. His voice carried unmistakable anger, like a child caught red-handed. Why? Bai Zihan spread his arms, feigning innocence. I'm just stating the obvious. Maybe you even had a hand in persuading my sister to break her engagement and go against our ancestors' promise. That would explain a lot, wouldn't it? Although he knew it was probably untrue, he said it anyway to further provoke Shen Liang. Haha, but do you truly think you have a chance? Who are you to even dream of being with my sister? Bai Zihan added, wanting to humiliate Shen Liang further. Elsewhere, who would dare to mock and underestimate Shen Liang? He might not be as talented as Bai Zuking, but he was still a top talent, respected by many and admired by his fellow disciples. If any male disciple in the Heaven Sword sect was considered worthy of Bai Zuking, Shen Liang was one of them. Yet here he was, being ridiculed by a so-called waste. Shen Liang's expression twisted in pure fury. His aura surged violently, but he still had enough rationality to restrain himself. He knew that if he attacked Bai Zihan here in the Bai clan's territory, the consequences would be severe. Moreover, even though his relationship with Bai Zuking wasn't particularly close, attacking her younger brother would definitely leave a bad impression on her. Instead, he took a deep breath and sneered. HMPH, a dog who only dares to bark behind the safety of his family. no wonder Bai Zuking never mentions you, you're just a disgrace to the Bai clan. The moment those words left Shen Liang's mouth, Bai Zihan's expression shifted slightly. Then, slap. The slap was so fast and sudden that Shen Liang didn't even register it before his face snapped to the side. A deep red mark instantly formed on his cheek. Silence. Everyone in the courtyard, by clan servants, Heaven Sword sect disciples, and other onlookers, froze in utter shock. Bai Zihan grinned. You were saying? Shen Liang's entire body tensed as his fury reached its peak. You. Without thinking, his hand shot to his sword, ready to strike. But just as he was about to unsheath his blade, boom! A powerful force slammed into the ground between them, shaking the earth. A towering figure stepped forward, Bai Zihan's personal guard. His presence alone was like an immovable mountain. His sharp gaze bore into Shen Liang, and his voice was calm but carried a chilling weight. Please restrain yourself, otherwise I will be forced to take action. Shen Liang's fingers twitched on his sword hilt. He was livid. Every fiber of his being wanted to strike, to wipe that smug grin off Bai Zihan's face. But the rational part of his mind screamed at him, he was still in the Bai clan. If he made a move now, he wouldn't just be fighting Bai Zihan but the entire Bai clan itself. He had no choice. With every ounce of restraint he had, he exhaled sharply and released his grip on his sword. Bai Zihan laughed, shaking his head. See, this is the problem with you Heaven Sword sect types, always barking, always acting superior, but you can't do anything in the end. He smirked. You're nothing more than a licking dog, and I hope you remember that, especially while you're in my territory, haha. The Bai clan servants shook their heads in pity. Even the esteemed geniuses of the Heaven Sword sect had to suffer when dealing with their young master. Shen Liang and the other disciples trembled with fury, but they were helpless. They were merely at the golden core stage, while Bai Zihan's personal bodyguard was at least in the nascent soul realm. And even if they somehow managed to defeat Bai Zihan's bodyguard, there were many other guards who would intervene before they could even lay a finger on Bai Zihan. They stood no chance. This was a complete humiliation for Shen Liang and the Heaven Sword sect disciples. Bai Zihan stretched lazily. Well, that was fun, Shen Liang, make sure to ice that cheek. You wouldn't want people to think Heaven Sword sect disciples go around looking like they lost a fight to a mosquito. With that, he turned and walked away, hands behind his head, as if this entire situation had been nothing more than an amusing little game. The crowd parted for him. Behind him, Shen Liang stood frozen in place, his fists trembling in silent rage. This isn't over, Shen Liang muttered. Not by a long shot. Oh, those disciples of the Heaven Sword sect must have complained to Bai Zuking. Bai Zihan immediately came to a conclusion. Indeed, in this vast Bai clan territory, they had no one but Bai Zuking to turn to for the injustice they faced. You mean to say that I did something to the disciples of the Heaven Sword sect? Bai Zihan asked casually. Yes, and I want you to apologize to them. Bai Zuking said, irritation clear in her voice. Did you see it? Bai Zihan asked, surprising both Luo Qing and Bai Zuking. At any other time he would have obeyed Bai Zuking without question, no matter the circumstance. Bai Zuking stared at him, clearly taken aback by his sudden change in demeanor. Normally he would act arrogantly, laugh it off, or try to weasel his way out of responsibility, but now he was directly questioning her. Something was different. Her brows furrowed slightly. What do you mean, did I see it? Bai Zihan leaned back, his posture completely relaxed. It's simple, if you didn't see me harass your senior sisters or start a fight, then how can you be sure I'm at fault? Bai Zihan knew he was indeed at fault, but he had no intention of admitting it. Unless Bai Zuking had absolute proof, he was confident she wouldn't be able to do anything to him. He also had no intention of apologizing. His arrogance was ingrained in him, and not even the threat of punishment could change that. Besides, he was certain that Shen Liang and the others would one day get their just desserts, especially Shen Liang, who was clearly after Bai Zuking by Bai Zuking's ex-fiancée. He was clearly a minor villain. Essentially, this meant that avoiding conflict with Shen Liang wasn't necessary since he was just a minor villain himself. In fact, if he bullies Shen Liang, he might earn the protagonist's favor. Even if that wasn't the case, he simply disliked Shen Liang and would never apologize to him. Are you trying to say that my seniors are lying? Bai Zuqing narrowed her eyes. Bai Zihan chuckled. Perhaps, who knows? HMPH, why would they lie? This is clearly you making trouble and yet you dare to lie to me. Bai Zuqing's anger flared. She knew Bai Zihan's character well, and between him and her fellow disciples she would always trust the latter. Bai Zihan smirked. How can you trust them over me without any evidence? Words are cheap, but if we really want to figure out what happened, why don't we ask everyone who was there? Bai Zuqing's expression darkened slightly. She was certain Bai Zihan was at fault, but without solid proof she couldn't outright accuse him. Crossing her arms, she said, "Fine, since you're so confident, let's settle this properly." Without wasting time, Bai Zuqing immediately ordered for all the Bai clan servants and guards who had witnessed the event to be brought forward. Whispers filled the air as more and more people arrived, creating silent pressure over the courtyard. Then Bai Zuqing called for the disciples of the Heaven Sword sect who had been present that day. The courtyard filled up quickly as the disciples arrived, their expressions still holding lingering resentment. Among them were Shen Liang, Yun Qingmei, and Fei Ling. They stood at the front, their postures stiff, but there was a flicker of satisfaction in Shen Liang's eyes. He had been waiting for Bai Zuqing to handle this matter. He had been humiliated that day, but now he was going to take his revenge. He wouldn't forgive Bai Zihan until he groveled and apologized properly. Shen Liang stepped forward, bowing respectfully toward Bai Zuqing. "Junior sister, I appreciate that you are taking this seriously." His tone was measured, but there was a hidden sense of vindication. Bai Zuqing nodded slightly before turning to the Heaven Sword sect disciples. "Tell me exactly what happened." Yun Qingmei spoke first, her voice sharp with grievance. "It started when Bai Zihan appeared in front of us and blocked our path. He made inappropriate remarks and implied that we were seducing members of the Bai clan. When we tried to walk away, he further insulted our sect." Fei Ling nodded. "That's right." Then senior brother Shen arrived to defuse the situation, but Bai Zihan continued to insult him, even slapping him. Shen Liang frowned, his expression calm but his tone carrying hidden anger. "I endured his provocations for the sake of maintaining peace, but he continued to insult both me, my junior sisters, and the Heaven Sword sect." He took a deep breath before continuing. "Junior sister Bai, I know that he is your younger brother, but he cannot treat the Heaven Sword sect with such disrespect." Shen Liang clearly wanted to emphasize the severity of the situation by invoking the Heaven Sword sect's name. Bai Zuqing nodded and replied, "Of course, if my younger brother has done this, I will make him apologize and punish him myself." Then she turned to Bai Zihan. "Zihan, what do you have to say for yourself?" "Glab glab." Bai Zihan clapped his hands mockingly. "Haha, if you only listen to them, of course I'll be the villain in this story." He sighed, looking toward the Bai clan servants and guards who had been gathered. But surely there were other people watching that day, perhaps some neutral witnesses who don't belong to the Heaven Sword sect. Servants and guards felt chilled when Bai Zihan acted that way. They clearly knew what he meant by those words. Bai Zuqing, though irritated by Bai Zihan's antics, knew he had a point. The servants and guards had been there that day. If she wanted to make this fair, she needed to hear their side as well. So she turned toward the Bai clan servants and guards. "You all witnessed the event, speak truthfully." The gathered servants and guards hesitated. On one hand, they did not want to go against Bai Zihan, who was known to be ruthless when offended. On the other hand, Bai Zuqing had personally ordered them to speak the truth. No one wanted to step forward. After waiting for a long time, still no one spoke. Bai Zuqing pointed to one of the guards at random and asked him to step forward. "You tell me what you saw." The guard had no choice but to curse his bad luck as he stepped forward to answer. "Lady Bai, it is true that young Master Bai approached the Heaven Sword sect disciples first." Yun Qingmei and Fei Ling smirked slightly. But, the guard continued, he never physically harassed anyone nor did he stop them from leaving, he was merely helping them seeing that they were lost. Between Bai Zuking and Bai Zihan, the guard knew who was more dangerous. True, Bai Zuking was more powerful but she was also compassionate and understanding. Even if she found out he was lying, the worst she would do was punish him and dock his pay. But if he got on Bai Zihan's bad side, he could kiss his job and possibly his safety goodbye. His family might even suffer for it. So he gave a favorable answer to Bai Zihan while avoiding outright lies. Bai Zihan smiled and nodded in approval, which relieved the guard. Yun Qingmei's expression stiffened slightly. And while young Master Bai did slap Master Shen, it was Master Shen who first called him a disgrace to the Bai clan. Shen Liang's expression darkened. Bai Zihan clapped his hands. See, it's them who are trying to frame me, I was generous enough to let them go yet they accuse me in return. Lies. Shen Liang snapped, unable to tolerate the blatant distortion of events. Junior sister, don't listen to them, this guard is clearly lying. Bai Zuking was conflicted. Based on the testimony, Bai Zihan didn't seem to be the instigator. Of course she wouldn't just trust one guard. She turned to the other servants and guards. Is what he said true? They exchanged glances before answering in perfect unison. Yes. After all, siding with the Heaven Sword sect would only bring them trouble. At least in the Bai clan's estate, it was wiser to stand with Bai Zihan. Shen Liang's face turned deathly pale as he realized the situation had turned against him. The Bai clan servants and guards, all of them, had sided with Bai Zihan. He had no idea just how far Bai Zihan's influence extended over them, or how little they feared Bai Zuking in comparison. He and the other disciples had always assumed that, given Bai Zuking's status as a genius and Bai Zihan's reputation as a waste, the servants and guards would naturally obey Bai Zuking. But who would have thought, compared to a benevolent ruler, people would always fear and obey a tyrant? Shen Liang clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles cracked. This is ridiculous. His voice trembled with suppressed rage. He hadn't expected all the servants and guards to take part in lying for Bai Zihan. Yet what could he do? Even if all the disciples of the Heaven Sword sect protested, the result wouldn't change. It would still be concluded that Bai Zihan had no fault as there is a lack of evidence from different parties. Moreover, just like now, they could always justify Bai Zihan slapping Shen Liang by claiming that Shen Liang had insulted him first. Damn it! Bai Zuking frowned slightly. She wasn't blind, she could tell the servants were likely favoring Bai Zihan. But at the same time, there was no concrete evidence against him. And it did seem that Shen Liang had insulted Bai Zihan first, which technically gave Bai Zihan the right to retaliate. While his response may have been excessive, it happened within the Bai clan's territory. Shen Liang had insulted a direct heir of the Bai clan in their own estate. That was already a mistake. Taking a deep breath, Bai Zuking finally spoke. The matter is settled. Yun Qingmei and Fei Ling's eyes widened. Junior sister Bai. She raised a hand, cutting them off. I've heard both sides. Senior sisters, while my younger brother's actions were excessive, senior brother Shen insulted him first, which cannot be ignored. Shen Liang's face contorted. Junior sister Bai Yu. Enough. Bai Zuking's tone turned sharp, leaving no room for argument. Yun Qingmei and Fei Ling's lips quivered in frustration, but they could only lower their heads and swallow their pride. Using their status, they were used to retaliating tenfold at the slightest grievance. But against Bai Zihan in his territory they were the weaker party. Even with the fault lying on the other side, they couldn't do anything. Their status as geniuses of the Heaven Sword sect was useless against Bai Zihan. Shen Liang, on the other hand, looked like he was about to explode. Unlike Yun Qingmei and Fei Ling, who were merely insulted, he had been slapped in front of everyone and had received no justice. Bai Zuking turned to Bai Zihan. And you? Bai Zihan smirked, knowing he had won. Yes. She narrowed her eyes at him. I will be watching you. If I catch you causing trouble again, I won't be so lenient. Bai Zihan simply shrugged. Of course, of course. Shen Liang could only grit his teeth, his fists clenched in frustration. However, Bai Zihan suddenly spoke again. Why doesn't the Heaven Sword sect's disciple apologize for falsely accusing me? Silence. The entire courtyard froze. Even Bai Zuking was momentarily stunned by Bai Zihan's audacity. Shen Liang's face twisted in fury. Apologize after all of this. He hadn't received an apology for being humiliated, yet Bai Zihan dared to demand one from him. It was like a thief stealing from you, then demanding you pay him back for the money he never lost. The other Heaven Sword sect disciples, including Yun Qingmei and Fei Ling, looked equally outraged. You! Shen Liang gritted his teeth. Bai Zihan, don't push your luck. Bai Zihan tilted his head in amusement, a leisurely smirk on his face. Push my luck. He chuckled. I merely pointed out the truth. He spread his arms as if addressing the entire crowd. I was accused of harassment, false. I was accused of stopping people from leaving, false. I was accused of picking a fight, false. He looked straight at Shen Liang and grinned. You wanted me to apologize when you accused me, but when you're proven wrong, you can't do the same. He clicked his tongue, shaking his head. You people are such hypocrites. You demand an apology when you're wronged, but when the tables are turned, suddenly it's a different story. Tusk, tusk. Shen Liang was trembling in anger. The humiliation of being slapped, and now being asked to apologize, was unbearable. Bai Zihan's smirk widened as he took a step closer. Or do you think the Bai clan is just some pushover? Shen Liang clenched his fists so tightly that his nails dug into his palms. The Bai clan servants and guards whispered among themselves, their gazes full of pity for the disciples of the Heaven Sword sect. They knew Bai Zihan was the troublemaker, yet now he wanted his victims to apologize to him. Would the so-called geniuses of the Heaven Sword sect accept such an injustice? Well, injustice was something they, as servants, were all too familiar with when dealing with Bai Zihan. Some even thought the disciples should have let it go when they had the chance. Now they had only suffered more by trying to retaliate. Shen Liang took a sharp breath and turned away. Junior sister Bai, I will take my leave. Fei Ling and Yun Qingmei quickly followed, their faces pale with shame. The other disciples hesitated but eventually followed their senior, their backs stiff with anger. Bai Zihan watched them leave, shaking his head in mock pity. Such a shame, he sighed dramatically. I thought they would own up to their mistake, such petty people. The servants and guards wanted to roll their eyes. If anyone in the world was petty, it was definitely Bai Zihan. Bai Zihan stretched lazily. Flawless victory. He turned to leave, but before he could, Bai Zuking's voice stopped him. Bai Zihan. He turned, still smirking. Yes, dear sister, do you still have something to say? Her gaze was cold. Don't think no one sees through your tricks. You might have slipped past this situation, but don't think you can do it again. Bai Zihan smiled innocently. What do you mean, dear sister? HMPH, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Bai Zihan merely grinned at her words. If there's nothing else, I'll be going then. Novel bin read light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel online for free. You can find hundreds of English translated light novel, web novel, Korean novel and Chinese novel which are daily updated. Read novels online, read light novel online, read online free, free light novel online. And that's where today's chapter ends. But the real question is, can a villain truly escape his fate? Or is he just delaying the inevitable downfall? If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more daily uploads. Next chapter, things get even more dangerous. This is Jiesan Audiobook. See you in the next story. If you enjoy this content and want to support the channel, here's how you can help. Like the video to help it reach more viewers. Speech balloon, comment your thoughts and theories, I reply when I can. Bell, subscribe to Jiesan Audiobook for more daily uploads. Loudspeaker, share the video with fellow novel fans. Sparkling Heart, you can also support directly through Movie Camera YouTube memberships if available on the channel. Star Patreon, exclusive content, early access and bonus episodes. Money with Wings, PayPal donations, one-time support to help keep the channel running. Every support helps me continue creating more audiobook episodes for you. Thank you so much for being part of the journey.